Let's get into it. I should take my glasses off. Soul Not For Sale podcast. These glasses are for nighttime only. It's a little ode to Hunter S. Thompson. You know who that is?
No.
Oh, we're going to do an episode on him one day, so you know. We were doing a bunch of moving around here because I had the picture. It had one eye covered, and I was like, I can't have it like that. I can't represent that.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about it being because of that. I thought you just didn't want to cover it.
No, you don't want that one-eyed stuff going on here. Soul Not For Sale podcast. We are talking about predictive programming, and this one is very you heavy, I would say. We have a Joe Rogan clip that we're going to show you. That's Mark Zuckerberg, Joe Rogan, and they're talking about some stuff that I think is very linked to predictive programming. And then the wife here did some research a little while ago, a little timeline of such that kind of gives way to how things were 3-4 years ago.
It's illuminating.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. You did some great work there.
Oh, thanks.
It was very, very surprising when I found that all out. But yeah, let's get into the Joe Rogan stuff first. But yeah, we're talking about predictive programming. If you don't know what that is, watch till the end. I guarantee by the time we're done, you will understand completely what predictive programming is. Let's get into this Joe Rogan clip. Hit up I am Coach Colin. I am CoachColin.com. Let's do it.
All these different companies that have done that work before. AR is a pretty different beast because what you really want to get to is not a headset. You want to get to something that's like a normal looking pair of glasses that is, it won't be like a wireframe because you'll need to fit some electronics in it, right? You'll basically need to have a computer in there and speakers and a microphone and batteries and a laser projector. And then the display, which we and a lot of other folks think is going to be this technology called waveguides, which is completely different from screens because it's a screen. It's like you're looking at a thing, and basically you're looking at like all the pixels that are on the screen. The thing that's different about a waveguide is it'll actually be see-through, so you'll be able to see the world through it, and then it'll display holograms and be able to place them at different depths in the world.
So is a waveguide a type of technology? Like what is a waveguide?
Yeah, it's basically they can be made of different substances, plastic, glass, different substrates. And they basically get etched or printed in different ways. And there's this big debate right now where a lot of the research is going into what is the right way to basically create these waveguides that have the right properties. Because you want, for augmented reality, to get something that's wide enough field of view. So you can imagine in 5 years, we're having this conversation. I'm not here. You're wearing AR glasses. Hologram Mark is here. And it's not only just is it kind of working as a hologram, but there's all these different dimensions beyond just being like a better video chat. If we want to play poker, it's like I could like deal a deck of cards and we could play. Hologram me could deal hologram cards, and you could have your glasses, and physical you there could pick up the hologram cards, and you can have a poker night where like some of your friends are there physically and some of them are there as holograms. And it's actually kind of wild. One of the thought experiments that I like to do is thinking about how few of the things that we physically have in the world actually need to be physical. Obviously things like chairs need to be physical, right? You're not going to be sitting on a hologram. Food needs to be physical. But most entertainment type stuff, not just cards, but games, most media, TVs in the future probably won't need to actually be physical things. It'll just be like an app, we'll just have an app there on your wall, and it's like snap your fingers, get the hologram there for the TV, and we can have our glasses and watch whatever you want there. And I don't know, they're sort of limited to being rectangular now because a bunch of limits in terms of the physics of how they get produced. But in the future, you'll just have like some high school students or college students developing apps, and it'll just be wild. Like crazy stuff will just kind of get created. So you'll eventually be able to kind of have that all come through these AR glasses.
So are there these AR glasses, are they in production now? Are they in development now? Like when you talk about this kind of technology where you can see things that aren't there and look at maps and watch videos and have it all on a small computer that's in the frame of the glasses. Yeah. Do they exist already?
No. I think we'll start to get stuff that kind of looks like the full version of this over the next, I'd say 3 to 5 years. But I think it'll also start off pretty expensive once it's available, and then it'll take a while to work down to something that's like hundreds of dollars. But there are versions of this that you can start to see if you relax some of the constraints, right? So the kind of ultimate AR experience is that, like, okay, you just have normal looking glasses that can kind of have all of these have holograms and make it so you can interact with people wherever you want. But if you relax the form factor constraint, right? So you have a headset instead of normal looking glasses. That's the other thing that's coming in the new device that we're shipping in October is mixed reality in VR, right? So we got to play around with this a little bit in the sword fighting experience that we did, but it's, basically the thing about mixed reality is you see the physical world around you. In the context of VR, it's not happening through a waveguide. It's basically happening through, you have cameras on the device that capture the world and then translate that in real time into stereo images, so different images in both eyes, so that way you can, because otherwise it's weird, and we kind of see stuff in 3D because we have our two eyes see slightly different things. So you're kind of the computers are putting that together on the fly, and then you can overlay digital objects on top of that. So when we were sword fighting, it's like the version of me and my sword. It's like that was a digital thing, but otherwise it was in your lobby, right? And you could see your lobby.
Yeah.
So you could start to see those kind of AR experiences starting to get built, but in a form factor around mixed reality VR first. So that's one direction that I think that the industry is exploring. The other is basically looking at, okay, so we got to constrain this form factor because we want to have something that looks like normal glasses. What's the most technology that we can fit into a pair of normal looking glasses today? Right, so you kind of go from both sides, right? It's like, what's the experience that we want to have, even if we can't get the form factor right? And what's the best we can do with the form factor? And then each year, those two basically converge. But on the smart glasses side, we work with Ray-Ban to basically build these smart glasses, and they're the best-selling smart glasses that have ever been built. And they're, we're continuing to work on new versions of it, but they're, basically you can get a pair of Ray-Ban Wayfarers now that have a microphone and that they have a speaker and they can take photos and take videos and you can post them to Instagram. Yeah,
they do it on voice command.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, so you could say take a photo of this.
Yep. Take a photo. Take a video.
And what kind of image quality are you getting off of these things?
It's pretty good. It's I want to make sure I don't get the spec wrong, and I just have all these different numbers in my head because I want to make sure I don't confuse it with the new version. Is it like similar
to like a selfie camera? Like limited in comparison to the back camera? Yeah,
no, it's not quite as good as the back cameras today, but it's it's like, I mean, you look at the quality and it's good. And it fits in like the corner of glasses.
Does that bring about privacy concerns if people could just like start filming things?
Yeah. So I mean, we designed it so it has a light on it. So whenever I mean that I think is actually a really important part of this.
But could you put a piece of tape over the light?
I mean, I guess in theory, but it's
yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So that little thing in the corner, is that a highlight or a light?
No, that's the light.
That's the light.
And it blinks, and it's a pretty active indicator. And I think if you put a piece of tape over it, it would probably interfere with the camera. So
those Wayfarers are essentially the same size as normal Wayfarers, or they have thicker arms?
I think it's ever so slightly thicker, but it's within the same ballpark of weight. So we worked with the company that, I mean, Ray-Bans. I mean, these are like some of the most popular and successful glasses, and part of the reason why I wanted to work with them is because they know a lot about glasses design, and that's not my thing, right? So I figure, okay, they'll really bring to the table some constraints around like, okay, like how big can this actually be before it starts getting too heavy on your face and uncomfortable to wear for long periods of time. And I've just learned a ton working with those guys. I mean, they're super sharp. They're this great Italian company, and the collaboration has been awesome so far. So I'm looking forward to building more stuff with them. But yeah, so you basically have these two paths to the technology at once. You're kind of trying to explore all the capabilities, but in a device that's bigger than the form factor that you want, while simultaneously, every year or two, cranking and kind of pumping more technology into what can you fit into the kind of form factor that you want, and make it a really great design. And then just eventually these things converge. And then eventually they'll converge and you'll get the functionality and you'll get the kind of form factor, but it'll still be kind of expensive for a little while. And then you fast forward a few years from there, and then I think it'll really be a mainstream thing. But even VR today is doing quite well. I mean, it's I don't think we release like exact numbers on the sales, but I mean, it's within the ballpark of Xbox or PlayStation or those kind of platforms. And
really?
Yeah. So I mean, we started off. This was sort of my theory on this. Is like, all right, gaming is use case number one for VR, but then pretty quickly, if you look at any platform, right? So computers, phones, before games are a huge part of those platforms. But if you look at the main things that people do, it's really about communication. Because I mean, this is what people do, right? It's like we communicate, and that's kind of how we get meaning in our life, is interacting with other people. So it's like, all right, that's going to happen with VR. And sure enough, if you look at the top apps in VR now, the top few are basically social, metaverse, hang out with your friends apps that are not centered around any specific game. So that kind of hypothesis around, okay, VR is starting to add different use cases. It's going from games first. Games are still growing and going to be huge, to just kind of social, hang out with friends, be present. And we're getting all these other use cases that are kind of crazy and are happening sooner than I thought. So, another big one is fitness, right? Just because, I mean, in a way, I mean, these are like the first physical computing platforms.
Yeah.
It's like you don't like move around while you're on your computer. I guess you could a little bit on your phone, but it's sort of awkward because you're looking at the small screen. But like VR and eventually AR are really designed to be able to move around and do things and like interact with the world, and that's really important to me. I mean, it's like I just like I hate sitting in front of a desk, right? It's like I just feel like if I'm not like active, I'm like wasting my day.
See, like this is why I chose this clip as he was talking about this, because this used to be the stuff that people would be like, "Oh, you're crazy. You think they're gonna make it glasses?"
True.
And like right now, people are, because we're at this point, people are like, yeah, and then it's going to be a contact. Like this is just me talking. Then it's going to be a contact lens. Then it's going to be something behind your ear. And, you know, that seemed crazy 10 years ago when guys like me were saying that. But now we have a CEO who's clearly like, oh, 3 to 5 years. Yeah, glasses. We've been working on them. They're only $2.99. You can go and use them. They actually stream to Instagram. I don't know if you saw what I was pulling up there.
Yeah.
They stream to Instagram if you want them to. It's absolutely nuts. So it's interesting how this part of predictive programming, supposedly, or maybe he's just a nice guy who likes to make stuff, this part of predictive programming is just happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
Like to the point where he's even saying like 3 to 5 years, you're going to see this.
Yeah.
And it's like, where does that bring us to? It's like the one thing I wrote down was games to hangouts to what else, right? Like right now, games, yeah, you already play at home. You know, I play a game every single night, right? Like I'm just here. I don't really play with anybody sitting beside each other. It never happens. So now we go to hangouts. That starts happening at home. And then like what else that ends up happening at home? Everything. Cooking class.
Yeah, true.
You know, like
Cooking class would be cool.
see, yeah, right? Because you'd be with somebody.
Because you could see it.
Right? That'd be
Interesting.
great. Oh, I don't know. It's very, very interesting. But let's get into what you were talking about, because what you were talking about actually goes hand in hand. This is another reason why I chose this clip. What you were talking about with your research there goes hand in hand with what he's talking about. Now, even keep in mind as you're reading this and we're going over this, when this came out, you did this research before this came out.
Okay.
So this wasn't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
So now if you really look at the things that you pointed out, all of that's going to become way easier.
True.
Way easier. And
Yeah.
it's going to become fun. It's going to become cool. It's going to be the new technology thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to me. But yeah, let's get into some stuff.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that I was looking at was based on like the shows and things that were coming out a couple years ago, like the reality shows on Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were super into them. They were like really fun to watch.
That was the thing we did. That was one of those things where it was like, don't watch this without me.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Exactly.
Or else we're going to have an issue.
Yeah. And those ones that we really enjoyed were called The Circle
Yep.
and Love is Blind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So The Circle is like, it's like a social media competition. So everybody's in their own little kind of apartment.
Basically, yeah.
And they have to communicate through this social media thing that's like obviously fake because there's some things going on, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a reality show at the end of the day.
Exactly. So they're communicating through screens, basically, is their only communication.
Yep.
And then Love is Blind is they're talking like with voice, but through a wall so they can't see each other. And they're supposed to fall in love.
Well, yeah, I was going to say The Circle is like social fun. We're having games. It's all great. And none of us actually have to be together in the same room. Love is Blind goes to the further extent where it's like you're going to find someone that you love.
Yes.
And
like
you're not
quickly.
going to need to meet them.
Yeah.
At all.
Like you're going to find somebody that you want to marry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to we have to watch Demolition Man. I know I can't sit through movies, but I'm going to sit through that one so you can see it, because you've never seen it, and it links up to this type of stuff really well. Even to the predictive programming.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene, sorry to interrupt, there's a scene where they are wearing headsets like the ones I was just showing, the one Mark Zuckerberg is talking about, and Sandra Bullock wants to be with Sylvester Stallone. And he's like, all right, come here. And he tries to kiss her, and she's like, whoa. She's like, we don't do anything like that. Like, what are you doing? We don't do that anymore. He's like, that's dangerous.
That's dangerous.
So she's like,
oh
here,
gosh.
she gets like into something more comfortable. She puts on like this lace thing, nothing underneath. And he's like, okay, all right. And then she just gets a headset. She sits him down. She
Oh my
puts a headset
God.
on. And then she puts a headset on. And then she sits like 6 feet apart.
That's crazy.
And then she sits down. And for him, because he's from the 80s, he's just getting these flashes. He's like, what in the hell is going on?
Yeah.
For her, she's like, yeah, this is what we do. So she's like real into it. She knows what to do. But he's like, this is crazy.
Wow.
Because he's getting these visions of her.
Yeah.
Like he's seeing her like with nothing on, and
Wow.
he has nothing on, and they're in the act, and he has no idea how this is happening.
That's so crazy.
So for him, he throws it off. He's like, what is
Yeah.
this? And she's like, is there a problem? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I want to just kiss you.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we don't do that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
I've never even heard of that.
Really?
No, never.
Demolition Man?
No.
Yeah, your parents wouldn't watch Demolition Man. My mom had me watching Demolition Man when I was like 6.
Seems a bit inappropriate.
Thanks, Mom. My mom was having me watch Shawshank Redemption, everything.
Oh my God.
Stand-up comedy, everything.
Operation videos.
Yeah, Operation, yeah, National Geographic. Exposed me to the world, why
Oh
not?
my God.
But yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
So those
one more interruption. As we're talking, we can't really talk about what was happening
Yes.
as all these shows were coming out. But I think you know how things were just a few years ago. So it was kind of a predictive programming towards that.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
So these shows came out kind of at an interesting time. So The Circle was about like making friends and things like that. And it came out first in January of 2020. And then a month later, they released Love is Blind, which is the next level, kind of falling in love with somebody without having to see them.
Yep.
And then another month later is when a lot of things changed.
Yeah. Where those shows became more
Reality.
fun. They became way more bingeable.
Yes. Yeah.
You really wanted to binge those
And
shows
people
at
had
that
more
point.
time at home to binge them.
Exactly.
That's what I'll say.
You're doing good.
Thank you. I'm trying so hard. Yeah, but like when we think back about those shows, and it was all just like in good fun. But now that I'm looking back along the timeline of what was going on, it definitely seems like predictive programming.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you can have fun with people and meet people online, and that's a great way to meet people. And even just like the Love is Blind thing, it's like Tinder on another level.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of Tinder almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is crazy. And then when I was thinking about the glasses and Mark Zuckerberg, like you wouldn't even have to meet people.
Yes.
Like Tinder could be like totally changed.
Yes. 100%.
Like you just like swipe through.
You swipe and like
people, like almost like Omegle.
Yeah.
You just talk to them quickly.
But now take it a step further with what Mark Zuckerberg and Lex Friedman were doing, right? And that's how Tinder becomes.
With the VR avatars that they made.
Hyper realistic.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this already, check it out. And if you have seen it once before, you're going to be like, what the hell? Just bear with us. We want everybody to see what this is all about.
But I feel like you'd be able to change your avatar like catfish as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be like way worse catfishing.
You remember what we were talking about when we were speaking about CRISPR and how that would be? Like you'd be able to be Chris Hemsworth with Jason Momoa's hair and crystal blue eyes. You'd be able to do that there.
That's crazy.
So this is what we were talking about. So take it a step further, in those glasses, Tinder, it becomes this, right? Because right now, the technology that Mark Zuckerberg is developing, he has only the ability to have it be this big. But eventually, he'll move on and have this. It'll be through those glasses.
Yeah.
The glasses will be powerful enough. The battery will be powerful enough. The camera will be good enough. And it'll be projecting holograms.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, you're exactly right. 100% right. So just for those of you that don't know, Mark Zuckerberg is doing an interview right here. He's getting interviewed by Lex Friedman. Those two things that you're seeing on the screen, those are avatars, hyper-realistic avatars. That is not them, although it does look very much like Lex Friedman. Same deadpan face as always. And it's not actually them. but they can see each other perfectly. They're interacting perfectly, and they're across the country from one another.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So that's what it would get. That's what when you're talking about Tinder, that's what it would get like.
Yeah.
You just swipe, and then she's there, and that's it. And then she walks up, and you're like, yeah, right. You go like this, and she gets cut off, and she's just like, oh, okay.
Oh my God, that'd be horrible.
Yeah, right. You still get that human feeling, right?
Yeah, jeez.
Of getting rejected.
Wow.
At least they don't take that from us. Still get to be
The
rejected.
rejection.
All right, sorry. So go ahead.
No, that was it for the timeline.
Yeah. That was it for the timelines. So that's very interesting. That timeline.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Seems planned.
When you said that to me, that blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's interesting timing that they did that. And now, I mean, you know, we're back to somewhat normal, but it's still, that type of thing is still being pushed quite a bit.
Yes.
You know, the type of thing I mean by just, you know, not actually meeting with people.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg is actually at the helm of this more than anybody else.
Really? In what way?
Sam Altman is not focused on this. He's focused on AI taking us all over. Elon Musk is focused on AI taking us all over and putting chips in our brains, which might lead to something like what Mark Zuckerberg has in mind.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's focused on, and he says it himself, having human interactions but apart.
Yeah.
Through technology instead of just, you know, with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
Isn't it interesting?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. So what else do we have? We have some Simpsons stuff as well. Because if you don't know about the Simpsons and how much they predict stuff, you know, people say, you know, people who have that tinfoil attire on, they say that the Simpsons is also a little bit of predictive programming. Mm-hmm. Which one are we going to go to first? The Collider one, or
sure, leave it on that one because you're there.
You know what? That is the bigger one too. I mean, the fact that, I mean, this is real, guys. They really predicted Trump.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They really did.
And I love how they like did his eyes in that picture too.
Yeah, the tanning.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They know. He's always been like that. You know?
That's crazy.
He actually wasn't always like that. When he was younger, he didn't do that all that much. You couldn't see the lines and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, I would be okay with his daughter as president. Me and my buddy Hank were talking about it. You know Hank.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. We're like, who would you trust after Trump? Because the Simpsons have predicted 2024. Like, it's there. It's clear as day. So in my mind, it's already solidified. So who would you trust after in 2028?
I don't know.
People would be really upset that it's his daughter. But I could see her being president.
Well, at least she made like a successful business.
And she's quiet.
Yeah.
She could just like step up and be like, hey guys, hi.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that a young woman president would be elected.
How old is she now?
I guess yeah,
she's still young.
30 something.
Yeah, she's still young. She's
like, it's hard enough. Like Barack was like very, very young for a president.
And they didn't like it.
No, and it was weird.
But he got it. I don't know. She'd be a good one though. Definitely. All right, so what's the first one here?
The first one, there's a whole bunch of these.
Wow, I just see submarine disaster. That's crazy.
Submersible disaster.
I didn't even know that. That's nuts. But you see what I mean with these guys?
Yeah.
So they predicted that. The God particle. Please read this one. This one is nuts.
The God particle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that one's 19. Crazy.
Please read that.
One of the most shocking Simpsons predictions yet. The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace shows Homer's attempts at becoming an influential inventor like Thomas Edison. I remember that episode. It was a good one.
Yeah.
In a small part of the episode, Homer's seemingly nonsensical writing on a chalkboard reveals itself to be a complex math equation. Renowned British science writer Simon Singh told The Independent that Homer's final figure on the chalkboard isn't too far from the 2012 CERN Higgs boson discovery. If you work it out, you get the mass of a Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of what a Higgs boson actually is, Singh said. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered.
Are you kidding me?
The craziest part of that, too, is the Higgs boson was only ever theorized about
Okay.
and highly contested that it existed.
Oh.
It
Really?
wasn't a proven thing until CERN found it,
And Homer was writing close to it.
close to the mass of it.
Ah, that's enough for me. So if they say Trump 2024, I believe them.
Yeah, that's
it.
crazy. That's so wild.
That's it. Doesn't mean don't go out and vote, guys. It just means, it's in the bag.
Yeah, and then the one below it is malfunctioning voter machines as well.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
What's the one? Oh, and Tamaco? Wait a second.
I don't really know what that one is. It's talking a little bit about weird fruits and vegetables coming after the Fukushima disaster.
Okay. So they got something right.
Yeah, just like weird combo things.
Accessible space travel.
Yeah.
Season 5. Wow.
1994. That's crazy.
Jeez.
And at that point, like, it was like you can't just like go to space without training.
No.
And now everybody is doing it if they have enough money.
Oh, yeah. It's $300,000. Joe Rogan was just talking about it on one
That's
episode.
crazy.
$300,000.
I wouldn't want to go. Not yet.
Well, I mean, a part of me believes that a smart guy could send people really high up in the space, have a big window on there, and have that window be panoramic television and show them something else.
True. Like the Las Vegas Eye.
Yeah.
Like it looks real.
Yeah.
You don't know. Like
That's what I
the
think.
space elevator just goes up and there's like an eye thing around it and you'd have no idea
There you go.
until you throw something at it.
That's true. True enough. Smartwatches.
Yeah, smart. I love that there's like a mini like cell phone on it. That's funny.
Of course. You got to work with what you got in mind, right?
Yeah.
But smartwatches were a prediction.
And again, that was 1995.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was significantly before most people had cell phones.
Yes, exactly. Assorted horse meat. That's not fun. That's a real one.
Serving horse meat. What was that again?
Well, it's just
Horse meat scandal of 2013, which found 29% of the animal used in Tesco burgers was horse. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, in Europe. I forgot about that.
Tesco, yeah. Tesco
Okay.
is like it's like Walmart plus
Okay.
like their biggest grocery store type of thing.
Yeah.
It's like massive.
But you know what? Like, in Europe, there are some countries that just eat horse.
Yeah, Asia too, I'm sure,
Like, I think in the original, like, IKEA in Sweden, their meatballs are still part horse.
Yeah, okay.
It's just like, I don't know, it's not that shocking.
A baby translator. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. See? But I only pull up so many of these. And you can find one that you find that stands out. But I only pull that up because the concept of predictive programming is always shot down by a lot of people. It's hard to find articles about it. Oh, we should probably read the article that we did find about it. But if you're looking back, because that's the main thing, you're not going to be able to just look forward and be like, that's predictive programming, although I do that sometimes. Some things I'll see. Just example, Rogan always talking about AI like replacing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's so much of a massaging of, like, hey, it's going to be okay. That's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Millions of people are going to be like, oh, it's just like Rogan said. Millions of people, because in some people's minds, like it or not, he's the mainstream media.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because in reality, Dave Smith was just talking about this on an episode as well, as I quote the mainstream media that I just brought up. He was just talking about how the term for what I do and what so many people do online, that should be that's considered mainstream media to so many people, and what NBC and MSNBC, what they are is actually corporate media. And that would be a more proper term for them.
I think that would be better. Yeah. Differentiate it a little bit.
Yeah. And they do that as well. You know what? I won't bring that one up. But like the FBI director was talking about like attacks happening, like just for, and like FBI, obviously they know what's going on, but I don't know. There's a lot of things that make me think that sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on, It's interesting. What else are you thinking about in this one?
There's nothing that was like super interesting in that one. I was just going to read that little bit of the article that you sent me.
Yes.
About kind of what predictive programming is. So it says predictive programming at its core is a tactic to reduce resistance by introducing concepts that seem far-fetched and continuously reintroducing them to make these concepts appear more likely or at the very least acceptable. As always, there is a reason why movies and television are used as the common vessel. When watching something, a person typically perceives it as entertainment, and their theoretical guard will be lowered, and the subliminal messages will go directly to the subconscious. It also is used as a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, because once an expectation is created that when these events start to happen, the population may seem more likely to accept the fate. There is also a control of imagination, because the most commonly used tool in predictive programming is science fiction. By creating these stories, the author can create boundaries of imagination and slowly show what may happen. As mentioned before, one example of this is Futility. This is a book from 1898 that shared the story of a fictional ship named Titan that was deemed unsinkable and ended up crashing into an iceberg. With a similar description and fate, this novel is seen as outlining the fate of the Titanic to create an acceptance among people for when the Titanic truly sank.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, Titanic too.
Yeah. See? I don't know. It's a weird thing. And that's from Ohio University?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting article there.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes you think, you know, and it's not as conspiratorial as some people make it out to be. You would just think you would do that kind of thing in order to have people to cushion the blow of something, you know?
Yeah.
Like compare it to like you have a kid and it's Christmas and they're like, I really want a pony. And, you know, just throughout the few weeks, you're just like, you know, if you don't get a pony, that's fine because you said you wanted this and this, and maybe you'll just get those things. I don't know, 'cause Santa sometimes he doesn't have room for ponies, but, you know, right? And then something else comes, and then the hit is not as hard. Yeah. You know?
Set it up. That's
right?
True.
So, and I mean, it's not out of the question to think that the powers that be would think of grown adults of the population as like children. Yeah. And treat them the same.
Yeah. Children to be controlled.
Because you don't want that child, you know, in the Christmas scenario, you don't want that child to flip out. You don't want them to be too distraught. Yeah. You don't want them to go through any like traumatic episode, tantrum. So you make sure to soften the blow. Yeah. Doesn't seem all that crazy to me. Although some people just think like, oh, that's nuts. That's nuts. It's weird to think that a concept like that is crazy and then chalk up any prediction, like just the Simpson predictions alone or just any predictions that come out. The Demolition Man thing that I just brought up to you while seeing what Mark Zuckerberg is working on. To think that seeing all those instances, all of those are just coincidence and crazy if you think anything otherwise. Yeah. There's so many.
Yeah, there's too many very, very close coincidences it can't just be a coincidence.
Yeah, if there was just a few, I could understand somebody taking that stance. But when there's dozens, hundreds even, it's like, I don't know, how are you still doing that type of mental gymnastics?
And then it makes you think too about like what's going on right now. Like, what are we seeing? What's popular? Yes. And they're bringing back Squid Games.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about that.
Because that was super popular.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
And now they're doing the Squid Games, the challenge.
Yes.
Which is very well done. I'm enjoying that show.
Yeah, exactly. It's another thing we really like. We're really enjoying. When they actually usher out people that are really fighting for life and death, we're going to be like, this show's good.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly. Right. Because some of the people that we saw in this in the challenge so far, we're not going to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it's very clear that it's not life and death because they just don't care. Yes. They just do dumb stuff.
Yes.
But in the original Squid Games, like people were being Oft.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. It is life and death in the original.
Yes.
Right? And when we watch this, if you don't know what Squid Game is, if you don't have Netflix, Squid Game is basically a bunch of people, 456, I believe.
Yeah.
A bunch of people get kidnapped, basically. They kind of sign up for it. They kind of don't. They get kidnapped. They get put into this whole game, and they have to play these weird games to get ahead in this competition. Whoever doesn't win in these games gets offed.
Yeah.
Gets iced, basically. And it's just like, and whoever wins ends up getting $4.56 million.
Yeah.
It's like $1 million per person, basically.
$10,000 per person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how it works. Okay. That's how math works. Yeah. But now, it was a great show. And now they have something called the Squid Game Challenge.
Yeah.
Which is the same premise, but it's like a game show.
Yeah.
So now, instead of, because what was going on in Squid Games, the show, the elite were the people watching.
Yes.
The super elite were the ones who organized it, and they were watching. That was the premise of the show, that the sicko elite people were getting off on this. Now they have the real game show, and now we're the sicko elite people who are enjoying watching it.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there was somebody that you didn't like on the show, and you're like, I'm glad he's gone. And it's like, if it was the actual show,
that's true.
Right?
That's
it would be
true.
somebody who just got,
Who
like,
just
wow.
ended, yes. Yeah.
And you would have been happy. You'd have been like, good.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not.
How wild. But you see what I mean? When it, like, that's a
They
great,
like set you up for that different thinking.
yeah, that's a great example of the whole predictive thing, because they show you that show, they get you real into it, they get you real invested, then they show you the game show.
Yeah.
Then they show you a video. You could look it up. You can type in right now, Mr. Beast Squid Games. He did his own as well. So now it's like they're trying to make it fun. They're making it fun. They're making it fun. And then what does that direct connection have? It's a direct connection to Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And it's getting people more and more okay with people having to go through wild, potentially traumatizing ordeals in pursuit of money.
I find
for
it
our
interesting
entertainment.
too that when we were watching it, we were like laughing at them because whenever they lose, they have to play dead.
Yeah. So they would go like, oh.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, that's so silly. Haha, look at they're being so dramatic.
Yeah.
But it also desensitized us to seeing a bunch of people laying on the ground.
Yeah. It was like you were Bill Gates and I was like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah. Yeah. Ha-ha.
That was crazy.
It was nuts.
I still like the show, but
It's a great show. What do you mean? November 29th, we're going to watch the rest.
it was done really, really well.
But that's what I mean. Like, it's conditioning more and more.
Yeah, to
for
be
us to-
accepting of these different things.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. And I think you'll find it the most, kind of obvious, but not. But I think you'll find it the most in these shows that come out.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
especially what ends up like in the top 10 on Netflix. Take a look, pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. It's very few things that you see that get approved by producers and people in charge that have to do with, integrity and becoming better and doing better as a person. A lot of it always has to do with tragedy, and that also goes towards a little bit of predictive as well. The things that you're seeing are constantly just tragedy and hardships and, potentially people passing away and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, like some trending ones right now are Selling Sunset, which is just ridiculous and drama and spending money and lifestyle that's not realistic.
Yeah, I was gonna say it because those are the women. Those are the women from California or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all just like they're Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
So it's like you're aspiring to that.
Yeah.
Unknowingly.
And I've also heard they sell like between 1 and 3 houses a year.
Yeah.
Like they don't really.
Because they're multi-million-dollar houses. They don't have to do
Yeah,
much.
but also they're just like there to be kind of pretty.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like you don't have to sell many when you're in that department.
And Love is Blind is still in the top. And Squid Game is in the top now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. The way that they
Hunger Games. It's funny that you mentioned it. I don't know why it would be back in the top 10 all of a sudden.
because people like it.
Yeah.
People like watching it. Right? And then think about the next time there's probably eventually going to be an actual game show like Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And we're going to be okay with it. We're going to be all right with it. We're going to be like, oh, this is like Gladiator from the 90s, if you're old enough to know about the Gladiators. But that's what it's going to be similar to. It's fine. You know, watching the UFC even.
Yeah.
You know? It's like it connects us all back to... It's odd because it connects us back to certain things through the Colosseum, you know, what people were okay watching back then. And it's gearing us up for, I think, being okay with watching certain things happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I have no idea what that is. There's certain things
like I still can't watch. Like I don't like watching people fighting, and I don't like watching people like even arguing. It's just I feel like a stress response.
Yeah,
when I watch those things, and I hate it.
That's what it's supposed to do.
I don't want anything to do with it.
It's supposed to give you that same response.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Why would I voluntarily increase my cortisol levels over something that has nothing to do with me?
If you don't know what cortisol is, you're fine with it.
I guess.
Like if you don't know what that is, then why would you care?
It's not good for you.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. And think about it. Everything that you're watching is doing that.
Yeah.
And
true.
Maybe
anything that seems like exciting is going to do that.
And maybe it's not always cortisol, maybe it's other things, but there's a constant playing of your emotions and levels going on.
Yeah.
You know?
Weird.
And also, I mean, everybody knows about this. It's desensitization as well.
Yeah.
It's desensitizing you to certain things.
And the news is like the worst for that too.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
They like sensationalize everything.
Yeah.
And blow it way out of proportion.
Yeah. Every news station should have to have an hour a day of good news.
That'd be nice.
It should be like, oh, because this is all so hard on all of us to watch all of these horrible things happen. Here's 1 hour of good news. Here's everything good that's happening in the world. It'd
be nice if they had like an independent fact checker as well at the end of every like news broadcast, or like the next day, like start off the news with, in yesterday's news, this was wrong, this was wrong, and this was wrong.
It's Jimmy Dore. Let me tell you something about what these people were saying. It's Joe Rogan and Jamie. So Jamie just pulled up all this stuff. Everything was wrong. It's just Joe Rogan. Everything was wrong. Jamie, pull that up again. That'd be terrible.
That'd be crazy.
But things like that would, I want to say, they would reignite people's optimism in the world.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but to certain people, it's not a good thing. I'll say that. Certain people don't want your optimism reignited.
Yeah.
Because optimism brings about positivity, brings about independence.
And ambition.
That's a great word. That's exactly what it does.
Yeah.
Ambition can be dangerous to some people.
Very. I
have the ambition to figure out how springs work, how water works.
We were so confused about
how cattle works.
And chickens.
Yeah, chickens. I got a real ambition for all that. I was saying on another episode, it's like in years from now, few years from now, like this background is just going to be like water.
And
just like trees and stuff.
You're just going to be outside?
Yeah, I'm going to be outside, of course. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? That's exactly what I'm going to be outside. We're going to have free range chickens. I'm going to be outside.
No, we're just fun around.
Way better. I think it'll be fine. I'll figure out the audio situation. That'll be it. I think it's a great plan. What else you got? Anything?
That's it.
I think that's it. I wanted to pull up, what was the last? I didn't have it anymore. But there's an actual part of The Simpsons. For some reason I lost it. But they actually show Trump 2024. It's wild. There's actually a part where it's, I think it's Homer, and he's like jumping over something, and it says, it's like a sign that says Trump 2024.
That's crazy that they can do the time as well.
Yeah. And it's from years ago.
Like, not just that it's going to happen at all, but the exact year.
Hold on. Not even just that.
And then there was something to do with, like, he was going down an escalator.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Was the same. Setting was the same.
Simpsons. It's nuts. Somehow. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen it, but there's a point where they're actually confronting one of the writers in The Simpsons. Huh. And he's just like, nah, it's all just, he's like, nah, it's nothing. It's nothing. He's like, it's not, it's a coincidence. That's what he kept saying. He's like, it's a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, what are you talking about?
I think there was another point in The Simpsons where they showed the electoral college map of the United States.
Really?
And exactly which states voted blue and which were red.
I saw that.
And it matched exactly to when Trump actually won.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is hilarious because then Trump could have literally just followed that plan to win the election.
You think he followed it?
No, I'm saying he could have, and it would have been hilarious.
He could have just been like, okay, this is what The Simpsons
because
said.
he went after states that were not obvious to kind of swing them towards his favor. So by looking at that map, he could have been like, okay, these are the key states that we need to win, and then just go focus on those.
True.
And he won.
True. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a businessman. He knows what he's doing when it comes to business.
Yeah.
People don't get it.
And influencing people as well.
Yeah, he really understands. I don't know, like, people just don't get it. They think he's just dumb. It's like, he's not dumb. He's really not. He's really smart. You have to be extremely smart. I'm fighting to be a millionaire. And the type of mindset you have to do that for your family. You know what I mean? Just to be successful. To be a billionaire, you have to be incredibly smart. Everybody's like, it was dad loaned him $1 million. Like, okay. I'm not sure I could turn $1 million into $1 billion. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have a chance, but I don't know. But here you go. That orb, the exact same thing happened.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I thought that was still the picture.
The exact same thing happened.
So weird.
And you know what most people did? Most people were very accepting of that image instead of being like, this is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, what is that? That's strange.
Very, very weird. Write down, just so you understand, even write down to the people, what the people are wearing in the background.
Yeah. Like
they got the guy's color wrong, but like write down to what the people are wearing. Look, that guy was there. That guy was wearing this. They got it perfect.
That's so weird.
But I was going to say, what most people did when they saw that, they said, haha, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And because this is the thing, it's, if you see it in a cartoon that made you laugh and you were just entertained, when you see it again, you're going to be like, okay, this is soothing for some reason. This is oddly soothing. You know?
Yeah. So crazy. The Simpsons is wild. There's something going on there.
Yeah, I'm telling you. We should just do an episode on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. All right. Like, subscribe, guys. Hit up IamCoachColin.com. It helps so much. That's how you support the channel. And hit that notification bell if you've done all those things already. Other than that, we are out.
Bye.